Welcome, dear listeners, to our show today, where we embark on a fascinating journey through the realm of history, exploring the captivating topic of the evolution of understanding and combating the common cold. I'd say, as we delve into this intriguing subject, let's begin by setting the stage for our narrative, which spans centuries and continents. In the early 20th century, specifically in the year 1925, a pivotal moment occurred with the publication of an article by MacDonald, based on a survey conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service. This marked one of the earliest scientific approaches to understanding the common cold, gathering population-level data rather than relying on anecdotal evidence. The survey and subsequent article laid the groundwork for future research into the causes, prevention, treatment, and risk factors associated with this ubiquitous illness. As we explore this period, it's essential to note the historical context in which MacDonald's work was set. The early 20th century was a time of significant change and advancement in medical science, with discoveries in microbiology and epidemiology beginning to shed light on the causes of diseases that had long plagued humanity. Against this backdrop, the study of the common cold, though often viewed as a mundane affliction, represented a critical frontier in public health research. MacDonald's recommendations for treating the common cold, including rest, a balanced diet rich in fruits and vegetables, and avoidance of overexertion, reflect a nuanced understanding of the interplay between lifestyle factors and immune response. His advocacy for a hot, full tub bath at the onset of symptoms and subsequent rest in a well-ventilated room speaks to the era's emphasis on environmental influences on health. The U.S. Public Health Service survey of 1925 also highlighted the seasonality of common colds, with notable peaks in October and January, coinciding with the resumption of school and holiday gatherings. These patterns, observed nearly a century ago, remain remarkably consistent with modern understanding, underscoring the importance of social gatherings and environmental changes in the spread of respiratory infections. As we transition to the next phase of our exploration, we find ourselves on the cusp of a new era in the understanding and management of the common cold. The seeds sown by early researchers like MacDonald would go on to sprout into a vast and complex body of knowledge, encompassing not just the biological and environmental factors at play, but also the social and behavioral aspects that influence our susceptibility to and recovery from this ubiquitous illness. Let us proceed to examine the unfolding narrative of how humanity has sought to comprehend and combat the common cold, tracing the developments that have led us to our current understanding of this enduring health challenge. Welcome back to our show, dear listeners, as we continue our journey through the realm of history, exploring the captivating topic of the evolution of the Silk Road. As we transition from the origins of this ancient network, we find ourselves in the midst of a most remarkable period, one that would come to define the height of the Silk Road's influence and power. During the Tang dynasty, which spanned from 618 to 907 CE, the Silk Road reached its zenith, with trade flourishing between China and the Mediterranean region. This era saw the rise of cosmopolitan cities like Chang'an, modern-day Huyan, which became a melting pot of cultures, attracting merchants, scholars, and travelers from all corners of the known world. The city's famous Eastern Market, established during this period, was a hub of commercial activity, where exotic goods like silk, spices, and precious stones were traded for gold, silver, and other valuable commodities. One of the most significant innovations of this period was the development of the Chinese maritime trade, which enabled the transportation of goods by sea from China to India, the Middle East, and eventually Europe. The invention of the stern-post rudder, a technological marvel of its time, allowed Chinese ships to navigate the treacherous waters of the Indian Ocean with greater ease, facilitating the growth of maritime trade. The Tang dynasty also saw the rise of Buddhism along the Silk Road, as monks and pilgrims traveled between India, China, and Central Asia, spreading the teachings of the Buddha and establishing monasteries and temples along the way. The famous Chinese monk Xuanzang, who traveled to India in the 7th century CE, brought back precious manuscripts and relics, which helped to establish Buddhism as a major force in Chinese culture. As we delve deeper into this period, we find that the Silk Road was not just a conduit for trade and cultural exchange, but also a platform for the spread of ideas, technologies, and innovations. The invention of paper, gunpowder, and the compass, all of which originated in China during this era, would go on to have a profound impact on the course of human history. The Tang dynasty's cosmopolitan culture was reflected in its art, literature, and music, with the famous poet Du Fu writing about the lives of ordinary people, from merchants to farmers, in his works. The development of woodblock printing during this period allowed for the mass production of books, making written knowledge more accessible to a wider audience. As we explore this remarkable era, we find that the Silk Road was a complex network of routes, cities, and cultures which facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and innovations between East and West. The Tang dynasty's achievements in trade, culture, and technology set the stage for the continued growth and development of the Silk Road, which would go on to shape the course of human history for centuries to come. Welcome back to our show, dear listeners, as we conclude our journey through the realm of history, exploring the captivating topic of the evolution of the Silk Road. As we transition from the heights of its influence and power during the Tang dynasty, we find ourselves navigating the complexities of its decline. The 13th century CE marked a significant turning point for the Silk Road, as the Mongol invasions, led by Genghis Khan and his successors, swept across Central Asia, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The Mongols' military campaigns disrupted trade routes, destroyed cities, and decimated populations, ultimately contributing to the decline of the Silk Road's overland trade. However, it is worth noting that the Mongols also facilitated the exchange of goods and ideas between East and West, as they established a vast empire that stretched from China to Eastern Europe. The rise of maritime trade during this period also played a significant role in the decline of the Silk Road. As European powers such as the Portuguese, Dutch, and British established trade routes by sea, the need for overland trade decreased, and many of the cities along the Silk Road began to lose their importance. The city of Samarkand, once a thriving center of commerce and culture, slowly declined as trade shifted towards the coastlines. The Black Death, which ravaged Europe and Asia in the 14th century CE, further accelerated the decline of the Silk Road. As trade and cultural exchange between East and West decreased, many of the cities along the Silk Road were left to fend for themselves, struggling to survive in a world where global connections were rapidly changing. Despite its decline, the legacy of the Silk Road can still be felt today. The modern-day borders of China, for example, owe a great debt to the trade routes and cultural exchange that took place along the Silk Road. The city of Istanbul, once a major hub of trade between East and West, continues to thrive as a center of commerce and culture, its bazaars and markets filled with goods from all corners of the world. As we reflect on the history of the Silk Road, we are reminded that the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures is a fundamental aspect of human nature. While the Silk Road may have declined, its impact on the course of human history remains profound. From the spread of Buddhism to the development of paper, gunpowder, and the compass, the Silk Road has left an indelible mark on our world. In the words of the famous Chinese monk, Xuanzang, the Silk Road is not just a road, but a bridge between East and West, connecting the hearts and minds of people across the world. As we conclude our journey along the Silk Road, we are left with a deeper appreciation for the complexities and nuances of human history, and a renewed sense of wonder at the incredible achievements of our ancestors. Thank you for joining us on this journey, dear listeners, and we hope that you will continue to explore the fascinating world of history with us. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.